Hello, this is Professor Sanyal and welcome to the tutorial on ER Assistant. ER Assistant is a simple tool that allows us to create and edit entity relationship diagrams. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to create entities, add attributes to entities, and build relationships between entities. So here's the ER Assistant. It's a really simple software. To begin drawing an ER diagram, you have to create a new file, which you can create by clicking on this icon, or we can do File, New. So here's the file where we'll draw an ERD. In this simple tutorial, we'll just add a couple of entities, add a few attributes to those entities, and then add a relationship between those two entity types. So first, here are all the icons that we'll need. Here's the entity, attribute, and relationship icons. So first, we'll click on this entity icon, entity type, to add an entity type. So here it is. To create anything new, that is a new entity type, an attribute, or relationship, we have to always hit new. And let's name the entity type department. So we have created a new department entity type that's of regular type. We'll talk about the weak entity types a little later. So close. So here's the department. To add attributes to this department, we can click attributes, and it brings up this dialog box where we can select the entity type. We are going to add attributes to the entity type department, and again we have to hit new, and we can begin creating the attributes for department. The first one is department name. Let's make it a primary key, and it's a character. Sorry about that. It's a character, and we'll close. And again, we can add further attributes by clicking attribute, selecting department, and clicking new. And let's say we'll add budget code, which is an integer, and we can keep adding attributes here. We don't have to go back and then click attributes again. So we can go ahead and click new to add further attributes like office number, which again would be integer. We can click add one more attribute, phone, which would be character, and now close. So here's our department entity type with all the attributes that we wanted to add. To add the project entity type, we'll again have to click on the entity, and we'll hit new to create a new entity, which is project. Now last time we went out of this dialog box to add new attributes, but actually we can add the attributes from here itself, which is by clicking this attribute button. We'll click that project, we'll click new to add new attributes. Let's say project ID is our primary key for project, which is integer. We'll add more attributes, name of the project, which is character. We'll add more attributes. Let's say start date, which let's make it a character field. We'll add more attributes. The last one, which is end date, which is also a character attribute, and then we'll close here, close there, and we have our two entity types, and we can move these around so that it looks a little bit better. So now we have to build a relationship between these two entities, and to build the relationship, here's the icon that we need to click. So we can click on relationship and say new, and let's say the relationship between department and project is department runs project. So we'll say runs, and we can specify the other side of the relationship as well. So we'll put a slash and say is run by. So project will be, so department will be our first entity type, which is the left entity, department, and the right entity is project. So it will read department runs project. And the department in this relationship, a department can have many projects, but a project will always be for one department. So it's one department and many projects. And note that here we can specify both the maximum and minimum cardinalities for both the entity types, that is one to many, which is the maximum cardinality, and also the mandatory or optional, which are the minimum cardinalities. So for department, a project has to have a department. So department is mandatory in this relationship. However, a department may not have a project, so project is optional in this relationship. So we have all the four properties of the relationship, that is two on each side, defined. So now we can close and see the relationship is created like this, so it doesn't look nice. We can always drag so that it looks a little better. So this is fine. So it reads department runs project, and project is run by department, and one department can run many projects, or it may not run any project. Similarly, a project has to be run by one department and one department only. So both the minimum and maximum is one. So that's how I create entity type, attributes, and relationships. Now before we end this tutorial, I'll just show you a couple of nice features that ER Assistant has. The first one is this one, which is check diagram. So if there's something wrong with the diagram, ER Assistant will catch it. So for example, let's suppose we forgot to define the primary key of this entity type. Okay, so we'll remove this checkbox, and we know that for every entity type the primary key has to be defined. So let's see if ER Assistant is able to catch this error. Yes, it does, and it says that entity project does not have a primary key. So we'll go ahead and fix it. We'll go to attributes, project ID, we'll make it a primary key, and now I hope that the error will be gone, and it is. It says no errors, so that's better. And we also can generate a report from our entity relationship diagram by clicking this link, summary. It shows a summary of all the items in the ER diagram. If you don't need just design justifications and diagram notes, you can uncheck those boxes so that the report will only consist of entities, attributes, and relationships, and you can print it by clicking this link. In this case, we won't print it, so we'll just close it. So that's the end of the tutorial. Thank you again so much for your attention.